Also on YouTube.
All right, good evening, folks. It is Tuesday, February 23rd, and this is the Litchfield Recreation Commission. We have 4 members present and a quorum for this evening. So looking at the agenda, first item is to consider minutes from previous meetings, which I sent out a couple days ago, so hopefully folks had a chance to review that. These are meetings from February 9th. Are there any amendments to the minutes or a motion?
I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from February 9th.
I will second that motion.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Hands up for aye.
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 Nay, abstentions passes 4-0-0. Next item is public input. Ronaldo, do we have anybody on the line this evening?
Peter, I don't see any public members on the line.
Thank you. Seeing no members of the public, we'll close public input and move to the next item. So facility and field requests. We do have 2 items for consideration.
Rachel Lang asked for use of Roy Memorial. That's on September 25th, 2021, from 7 to 2 for a foot race, touch a truck, and a gathering for police and fire associations. On behalf of the Litchfield Police Association, Litchfield Fire Association, representatives are Rachel, Paul Kelly, and Jake Dodge. They anticipate there will be 50 to 99% Litchfield residents. They will be serving food and beverages, and funds raised will go to police and fire.
All right.
It's all 3 fields.
So I guess my only question concern around that is if sports are up and running, that's the 20. What day of the week is that? Just bringing it up.
It's a Saturday.
Saturday, right? So that could be an active field use day. I don't think any of the soccer leagues have gotten that far out just yet, but that would be my only concern. But otherwise,
The other concern is Officer Lang has submitted a resignation. If you watched the Board of Selectmen meeting last night, they accepted a resignation. I imagine we can still proceed with this as, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Dodge are still in town, but we may have to reword it or I guess we could just let it go as is, but I don't think she'll be employed with with Litchfield come September.
Gotcha. Okay.
Does anybody have a contact with the softball teams? Could find out. I mean, I think it's just softball and maybe soccer, Mike.
There won't be soccer there. That's just softball.
Okay.
All right.
And, they're in fall ball at that point. It's not, regular, but then again, with, whatever the spring's going to be like, they may want to be there may be more activity in the fall.
Now, if I ping, maybe would Rick Gamache be a hold of that? Or
You can ping Rick, but they've been done for a couple of years. I'm trying to think of who's in charge of it now.
Oh, I got you.
I mean, you can email the group Andy set up, and someone should respond.
Okay, so should we just check with Litchfield Youth Softball first?
Yeah, I mean, we've got some time to vote on it, so I'd say we at least reach out to the appropriate groups that could possibly be using that day and see if we can work it out with them that they could use a different day. Not you know, they can move whatever games they have that day or whatever.
Yep.
If you read our bylaws, actually, Litchfield Police, Fire, etc., have a higher pecking order than sports. So they're actually would be the
Well-
first ones to be accessed, but it's something, we don't have to adhere to that. It's more getting the sports in there first would be a priority in my eyes.
Well, we might be able to do both. I think it's a good question just to reach out and ask them. They weren't asking for the whole day, so maybe there's a way to split the difference as well.
Okay, I'll take lead on that one. I'll try to figure out who I need to contact for that and get a hold of somebody.
Yeah,
Thank you.
just I mean, depending, and the other thing is, and we can put this in the motion when we vote on it in the future, is that they are still going to have to go through the emergency committee at this point. You know what I mean?
True.
That's very true.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it says 200 people, so it's a pretty good sized event.
I like their optimism, though.
I do too.
Should
Well,
we
they
set a
they
date?
did do it this past fall. You know what I mean? So they did have
Yeah.
the road race this past fall.
Yep.
So
Should we set a date to kind of get back to them or try to, when we would readdress this? It's hard to say right now because we don't know what the situation is going to be come summer, never mind come fall. I'm hoping that all this is diminished and we could start having, participations like this. I don't know about 200 people, but at least some kind of activity.
I mean, I think that, within the next 2 meetings, we should be able to get back to them and say, yeah, that date's good or not good. And then, put a qualification on that, within whatever, within 2 months before the event, or before 2 months before the event, they have to go and have it approved if there is still an emergency council.
Okay, I will reach out to them as well. I'll email Rachel as well as the other contacts on there, and just tell them what we discussed tonight. And I believe the police chief is already on that emergency management team, so that they'll have a pretty good handle on if they can do it or not.
It's true. Great. Thank you, Andy.
Yes.
All right, we have one other request, and just trying to bring it up. Oh, no, maybe it was the same one. So the blood drive we know was canceled, so that one's off for April. Was there one more request, or maybe that's the one I was
Yeah, Steve Weber actually forwarded one to us today.
Okay.
We do not have many details. Well, we do have some details. Hold on one second. Just opening it up.
I mean, it was less of a request than an inquiry as to whether a request needed to be made.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even see his email. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think it was
that
like
guy-
Colleen Conroy or Conrad requesting to use Jeff Lane. Didn't say specifically what for a mom's
Jeff Lane,
group.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, for a mom's group, and I don't know what that entails.
It sounded like maybe an exercise sort of thing, or
Yep.
maybe I assume like a boot camp or something. I don't know. But I mean, even if Jeff Lane isn't specifically available, we do have, several other fields in town that we could use,
So this kind of sounds a lot like the Dara boot camp. Debbie Rice, I think her name is boot camp. It's kind of one of those situations where they're not a nonprofit organization. For us to authorize and make a motion on it, they have to have be a nonprofit and also provide insurance. Now, if she's going to be doing just a exercise group with other Litchfield residents, then there's nothing really we have to say on or can approve or disapprove, as long as they understand that it's a first come first serve scenario where if the fields are open, they could use it, but we're not going to schedule some. That's kind of the point I took it.
Yep, that's in line with what I was thinking too. If they actually want to reserve like a softball field or something, that's a different conversation. But they're just looking to go down to have the space. I think that's fine and open with really in line with what anybody else from the public would be available to do. So
There's a lot of space there outside the field as well.
yeah.
So, I mean, I think one way or another, they can make it work. But let me, I can reach out to Caroline as well.
Thank you.
That's my only concern is, like we're gonna have to address this with Debbie when she comes back on too, is if she's collecting funds to utilize town resources, she's actually supposed to submitting those funds to the town, and then we distribute them and manage them, et cetera, et cetera. It's not profit when you're collecting funds. It's for profit.
Let me see if I can get on the phone with her or get in a little email conversation and see what the deal is. I mean, it may just be a group that wants to get together for some fitness. So
Yeah, as long as they're not tearing up the fields and building up, setting up tents inside the grounds, I go for it. If it's not being used for sports.
All right. I think that's it for field requests, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, the blood drive they wanted to meet in April, but we couldn't lock down a date quick enough because I wasn't sure what our situation was going to be. And then that would have moved out till May, and they just felt that it would be too hot to be inside town hall at that time. So they're going to work with the school, and then maybe next year they'll come back around and we'll try to support them. But I explained that we couldn't set a date too far out because we didn't know our situation was going to be come April.
Right. That makes sense. All right, moving to new business. We were asked to review the Netiquette contract to make sure it was in line with our expectations. I took a look at it. It looked in line with what we had talked about as far as the scope of services in the RFP that we put up previously. Was there anything but other comments or thoughts about contract? I don't think we need to approve it so much as just get consensus that it's in line with what we were expecting.
Yeah, everything looked good to me as well.
Yeah,
it looks
jumped
fine.
out at me.
All right. I'll reply to Troy and just say it looks good to go from our end and
Yep.
do that. Okay, any old business from previous meetings, action items I neglected to put on the agenda?
No.
We still need to get to meet with Andy Collins and talk about the reopening plan.
Yeah. You know what? I'll ping Steve too to see if they're starting to think of possibly reopening talent and what the timeline is on that. Maybe he can bring it up at his next emergency meeting. The place is fairly unusable in the summertime, but hopefully we can get people in there in the fall.
Yep. We certainly had a good number of requests, so it'd be great to have it back open for the public. Sure.
I have one question. So we're starting to see some requests come in from different leagues. Will they have to go in front of the emergency management team to start playing, softball, baseball, etc., soccer? Or if they follow the CDC guidelines for sports? I'm not too sure how we're supposed to handle those.
I know, babe. So the Cal Ripken League that we're in has its own set of guidelines that are pretty stringent. I mean, they're probably even more stringent than the CDC guidelines.
Yeah, most of the leagues that are participating have guidelines that are relatively stringent, more so than, as you said, the CDC ones. Heck, honestly, they may even be more strict than the ones we put in place in town. Individually in terms of what they do. So, I don't know. I know for the fall, I'm not sure none of them went in front of the emergency management team. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing you would actually need to consult the ENT on is if you're gonna have like a tournament with several other towns or states or whatever. That, I mean, would seem to make sense to me.
Good question, though. All right, any other old business?
I don't think so.
For other, the other thing I'll put on for
Go ahead.
oh,
No,
sorry,
go ahead, Peter.
just for next meeting's agenda. So Mr. Ruggles has generously offered to do a lot of the correspondence from this meeting, so thank you. But I do recall that we did last year kind of scope out each month, kind of planning out who would reply to emails. I thought that was a good system as far as getting back to the public, so we know who was on first and that type of thing. So maybe at next meeting when we have a larger group, we can map that out for March and going forward.
Yeah. That'd be good. That way we just, I just like to make sure people get back to in a timely fashion, just because,
Absolutely, yeah.
you know, I think we need to.
Because you're courteous and a good guy, so yeah, absolutely. All right, any other business folks wanted to bring up?
There was something, but I can't remember what it was now. All right. If I think of it, I'll email you.
All right.
Oh, Steve, I know what it was. We had talked about getting calendars together for the leagues. I still want to do that. Like, perfect example tonight when we're talking about September, you know, if there's anything set up for that day, it would be nice to be like, oh, we have a calendar for that, you know?
Yeah, we could definitely do it through Google calendars. Yeah, I'll investigate that a little bit deeper. We could maybe give the different leagues. I don't know if we want 5 or 6 calendars. We'll have to hash it out. But yeah, I agree. We definitely have to do that so we could identify what field's being used by what teams, and then we could quickly reference it.
Agreed. Yeah. And even, you know, possibly put it on, well, no, maybe not put it on our website, because then people would hold you to it no matter what. Like, oh, it says it's open.
Very good.
All right.
Anything else for the good of the order this evening?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, motion is second. All in favor?
All right.
Hey.
All right, pass 4-0-0. Thank you all very much, and have a good evening. Stay safe and well.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Peter.
You too.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye.